G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here. I haven't been for a bicycle ride for a while. Been too bloody wet. Look at that, lights that have not been tried. More lights yet to have a go, because these are only there to say that they're on the bike, and these drain the battery that you're using for propulsion. Therefore, rechargeable. And today I'm going to try something that I have not tried before. We will have a bit of a crack at the chest harness mount. So, chest mount might make a little bit of a mess of the reflective garb, but you know, we do our best. Okay, so that's about where the camera sits on me, if you can see that. Yahoo yippee. And to complete the surreal effect, we will add mirrored glasses to keep the wind out of me delicate little eyeballs. Okay, let's see how we go. Right hand throttle gears and front brake, which is apparently conventional. There we go. Stand there. As I have said, it's been too wet to go riding. I'm not entirely certain that it's properly dry enough for the pastime. Oops, I need to lock it. In theory, we're coming back. Okay. There we go, we'll give it two kinds of blinky and a solid. And there we go. So we've got a strobe and a light. I'm sure that should keep the sheep out of my way, in theory. Right. Into the sun, I can't say these sunglasses are a great idea, but won't be into the sun all the way. I have no idea what it's going to be like. Trying to go to town to collect groceries on an electric push bike. But one of these days, when petrol gets too dear to buy, that might be what we've got to do. Let's go up here on this one. Whoops, that might not have been a good idea. Isn't the Brill to drive on in fascinating condition? My neighbours had plans to do it up for over a year, but it's been too wet to do any work on it. The reason it's as wide as it is because I've been in the habit of driving on the wrong side of the road so I can see exactly where to put my tyre and straddling the stream or rivulet where the old tyre track used to be, thus widening the road, and trying to dig a drainage trench between the hillside to the right of the road and to the left of the road to carry away the water that would otherwise be running down the middle of the bloody road, because the road is up the gully between two hills. And I don't know why they did that. Presumably the soil was softer in the middle of the gully, easier to put a track in. Get this thing in a gear that's somewhat useful. A remarkable lot to remember when you have a crack at an electric push bike on a fucking mountain goat track. Goes quite well without needing to pedal it. It's really weird riding a push bike that hasn't got a bar between the handlebars and the seat rest or seat mount. You can't use your thighs to guide it while standing on both pedals. So, do we go left to the highway or right? Just checking the back tyre. Right to the railway line. I think it's a known thing going to the highway. So therefore, why don't we go and have a look at the railway line? So there you go, that's the neck snapping acceleration of an electric bike from a standing start going up the hill, not pedalling. Just trying to adjust the bloody mirror there. Yeah. Gives a pretty good look behind. Pretty soon the computer will decide it's going too fast. And even though I'm asking for full throttle, it's only giving me half throttle because I'm doing 28 clicks into a wind. and the gearing is so short that I can't actually pedal to keep up with the motor. So that's juicy. Okay, now I can add a bit of help. Because the computer's only going to give me half throttle because I'm doing 28 k's and we've just used a chunk of battery. Lousy aerodynamics, this thing. It's got you sitting straight up so that you can be seen above the roofs of the cars in city traffic, which is a good priority, but just not mine out here. "27 k's with me pedalling in top gear. "25. Yeah, well, this is definitely a whole lot more fun than it was, say, 4 or 5 months ago, when I was what they call profoundly anemic and I just didn't have the puff. Does that give you a better view through the camera? I'm sure it's looking down all the time, but I can't do much about it. I'll just try and bend the camera mount up a bit. And here we are at the railway of the line. The reason I come this way first is so that when I'm on my way back, the overtaking cars will have the sun over their shoulder, if there is any sun. And hopefully, presumably, the photography will be better going back. Because I'm sure this is going to be full of all sorts of light-struck shit with high wind noise. Okay, and here we have a driveway in which to turn. Okay, now just playing with the rear vision mirror, and perhaps also the camera there. See if that gives you a more horizon oriented picture. This is a pedal augmented uphill takeoff. 4 minutes to 5. Unpedaled, we drop down to 24, 23. So I don't have to pedal very much to assist it to keep around the 25k, but it doesn't take much of a hill. I don't know whether the camera shows it, but I can see my strobe going on the road signs. Puffelhorn. Now I discover why it was so easy going the other way. This is when we're going into the wind. And we've used 2 bars of battery. "23 clicks. Yeah, well, I'm too old and too unfit to ride up that hill at anything like that speed. If it was just me on a manual push bike. .9 downhill into the wind. And mind you, I've got 2 spare batteries in the saddlebags. Because that's what I will be having when I'm riding the thing into town. That's the plan. And that's what it's like being overtook at sundown on a dark maroon bicycle with blinking lights front and back. Six and a half or 6.6 kilometres from the hut at this point, 6.7. Right. And now "14 k's uphill on a dirt road, 15 k's uphill on a dirt road." And at this point you find you're standing up in the seat and backing off on the throttle because the bike can go faster on a dirt road than the rider is comfortable doing. "23 k's. Three bars of battery used, down to 2. At 7.5 kilometres. So when you see people say, "Oh, electric push bike, 30 to 80 kilometres range," that's just bullshit. But when I did the figures on it, measuring the height climb from the front gate to the upside down tree, 1.25 kilometres, something like 60 feet. It works out pretty near exactly 125 watts worth of height climb and 125 watts worth of aerodynamic drag. So the motor is putting out 250 watts. And isn't it a good thing this thing's got suspension on the front forks? Because in my application, that gets used. And this is where I could pedal my quad out and I could strain the motor. But they tell you that it really does not like high power at less than 10 kilometres an hour. So after 8 kilometres, now Chrissy walks his push bike up the hill. Much to the amusement of the neighbour's sheep. But in theory, even with a trailer full of groceries, this should work. And halfway up you can have a rest. Or I figure I can. Happily, that tree has never fallen on me. Hopefully it never will. Oh. Yeah, that ain't bad, eh? I like it. Not cheap, but, pardon the pun, very flashy indeed. And the computer runs the average speed from the time you turn the bloody thing on and start moving to the time you stop. So it includes all of these little stops when it calculates the average speed. Oh, we're down to 1 bar of battery. Which sort of means that a lazy man's trip to town, which is 15 kilometres from here. Yeah. Is this thing going to be capable? Who knows? Might have to get a fair bit more fit. I think. There we go. Right. 8.2 kilometres. 44.9 all up. 30 minutes. Max speed 32.1 kilometres an hour. Average 16.4. But like I said, that 16.4, that includes all the time stopped at gates. 44.9. There we go. And now I write it up. There we go. What do you know? Yarrowford Road by eBike. Warbles on a lot to YouTube. Ciao.